Motorhead Science with Mike Gibson, brought to you by Extreme CMP.
Okay, we're at the dirty solvent tank, is what I call the dirty solvent tank. This one, when you want to get grunge off and stuff like that, we have a couple solvent tanks, one for all clean, final wash before we start assembling an engine. And as you can see, I go through everything, just sort of clean everything up. It's not like we're going to make this thing a show car or carburetor or anything like that. All we want to do is get the majority of the junk off here. Mainly down through this venturi area where you can see it's backfired back through there. And you'll be able to see where the actual screws are. You have little Allen head or Torx head screws that come down through here. Couldn't see them before because it was all sooted up and black. You look through there, you got most of the meat and potatoes cleaned. It doesn't have to be immaculate. What we're going to do is we're going to take a brake clean, and I do this right in my old salt, or this solvent tank here, my medium solvent tank. I blow through all the main jets. You want to get everything as clean as you can. So it's just that simple. We go through, lightly blow this out. I just do real light air pressure. We don't want to jam anything. We don't want to blow anything out of proportion. We want to make sure that we're just checking everything as we're doing that. As you see, very little air pressure. You don't have to have a big compressor to do this. Go through all these, get a nice light blowing, and we'll take it back over our table. So after we've cleaned this all up in the solvent tank, I usually take a little towel and I go in here and sort of wipe everything out, do a visual inspection on everything. The other thing that I like to do also is pull these out, see if there's any dirt or gasket material or anything that could be behind these squirter. So this squirter, this is what's called a squirter, and what happens with those is sometimes they'll just get clogged up with stuff, especially if it came through the carburetor. This carburetor was actually fairly clean inside. So once we get those little screws out, I'll take this and I'll try to pop these things out. Sometimes they're not very fun, sometimes they come right out. You just, again, these are things that you're going to have to work. And if we can't get that in there, all it takes is just a little pop. So we're going to look at this. I'm going to take this over to my air hose and I'm going to blow this out real well. Look down through all these passages. There is a stop. So what I'll do is I'll take the pick and simply move it around, make sure it's free to move, and it is. So once that's done, once I know that these are cleaned out, they actually work well, I'll put this right back in place. And again, this isn't a major rebuild. We're just doing a simple cleanup, making sure this carburetor works. You can buy carb kits for it. They come with all the instructions with the carb kit, so it makes it really nice if you do forget to put something back together. That way you have an actual instruction sheet where everything goes. So if you get crazy and just start ripping stuff apart and then come back to it 3 weeks from the day you started, you'll remember how to put it back together. So once we got that down, we sort of give them just a nice little snug. We've seen that everything is clean in here, you know, for the most part. There's a little bit of residue in there from possibly having water in there with this oxygenated fuel and all this methanol that's in it and all this other junk that they put in our fuels. Sometimes they just get a little bit, get a little film on there. So just a simple clean out, wash up, make sure everything's okay. And important to blow all the orifices out. So once you've got that done, we're going to sort of set this aside. Actually, I'm going to switch places with this, and this is the upper part of the carburetor. These are the floats, and to take these off, you just simply push that out. This little shaft will come right out. Once it comes out, you can just set this just like that, again, side to side. These are the needle and seats. Seats right there. This is the needle. What we want to do is make sure there's nothing on that. So we're going to set that one out. We're going to pull this one out. Very simple. Set that with that. Pull this needle out. We want to look at it, make sure there's no imperfections in that. I'm going to examine the float so I can see if there's any kind of imperfection or if there's any kind of hole or tear in the seam. You can do a visual. You can also submerge this. You can have just a cup of water. You can submerge it if there's no bubbles come out. Generally, there is no holes in this. So I'm going to set that one there. It's all cleaned up. WD-40 to me just sort of cleans it a little bit better. It makes it easier to see if there's any imperfections in it too. Sometimes the brake clean gets it so dried out that you can't really tell, but I like to just simply do that. Do a good inspection on all ends of it, right here where the seams are all soldered together, and right here where the seams are all soldered together. You want to make sure that those are good. Can't hear any liquid in it. Of course, this carburetor has been sitting for a while. It's not a very pretty carburetor. And I'll generally take this and wipe the tip down real well. Make sure that the body's clean and just drop it right back in. So once that's dropped in, we can test those. You can simply blow through the end. This is a threaded end. You can put the floats on it. You can blow through it. You can take your air nozzle and blow through it. You can lift the floats up and make sure that they're sealing and doing what they're supposed to do. Once you have that in place, just like when you took it out, you're going to run this right back through, and all you want to do is you want to have those where they're both equal. Same with this one. Very simple. Put it in, find those holes, run it through, and sometimes if you have to take a couple shots at this, it's sometimes they can be a little bit of a bear, but for the most part they're not. And what I do is, you can measure these off, but what I like to do is I like to see a level so that when you're looking at that, you've got a level to the body level or to the upper part of this carburetor. So the upper half of this, if you're fairly level there, you're going to have a fairly good float level. So those are just quick, simple ways to do it. Now they do have gauges that you can use. They're little paper gauges for measuring. I've done about a bajillion of these carburetors. Doesn't seem to my little method seems to work pretty good, but if you want to do it exactly the way the book shows you to do it, then by all means, please do it that way. Now we're back to what I said we need to really examine. This is the accelerator pump diaphragm. I don't see any cracks in it whatsoever. I don't see any rolled edges. This leading edge or the actual edge that creates the pressure looks in great shape. There's good flexibility in this. You can put that back into this body and set the carburetor back on it, or you can put this right back into here and do it that way. Either way works just fine. If you're afraid that this is going to fall out, just put this little S-clip right back in it. Hold that to the side, and I'm going to wipe my fingers off. There's no reason to have my hands filthy when I'm trying to put all this stuff back together as clean as I possibly can. I'll wipe this down a little bit to make sure that any dirt that I may have off my finger doesn't get in there, anything that could be abrasive. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. And I also go to one little extra measure, which a lot of people probably don't do, but I just take a little bit of oil out of my oil deal here. And I wipe that on the seal too, just to give it just a little bit. So we have this pretty much ready. This gasket's in pretty good shape. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. We didn't clean this off because I didn't want to get a bunch of solvent inside here. We blew everything out. This is a very simple way of showing you how to do a carburetor without getting yourself over exposed to pain and torture. So what I do is I put that spring back in here, simply turn this thing back over. You want to make sure that your floats and everything are in good shape, that your gasket stays there. I just lost my little S-clamp. So, because I lost that, my accelerator pump fell out of its place. So That being said, I want to make sure that I don't lose that in any place that's inside this carburetor that's going to give me fits later. So once I have that in its place, I have this accelerator pump in its place, now I'm going to simply hold it up here. I already know that everything's in place and should work. So that I set this back on. That way you can sort of turn this thing also. It helps it, gives it a little bit more ability to make sure that you're on it correct, you're on it straight. So once that's done, we're all good there. So the best thing to do, or the thing that I usually do, is I'll simply start putting some of these in. You don't have to drive them in all the way, but get a couple of them in, so when you're starting to put everything else together, you don't have a problem with that. So most of the time I'll just get them in, sort of get them snugged up a little bit, but not too much, just in case you don't have something not lined up right. You want to make sure that it goes flat down on there. We already have our tool sort of set up, so all we're going to do is we're going to go before it stops. This is a very weak tool. It's not very strong, so I don't have to worry about it hurting threads. That is the beauty of this. It's an old snap-on, but again, it doesn't have a lot of torquing power, so, and it's not real fast, so it doesn't have a tendency to gull any of the threads up. So once we have that set, we have that in place, we're pretty much ready to start cleaning our needle and seats, or our needles up, not needle and seats. So these are what are called the metering rods. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean up the metering rods. We're going to make sure we got everything intact. We're going to make sure we have all of our brackets. Everything's in place. We need to straighten the little rack out here. And then I'll go over to the solvent tank and I'll clean these up, and then we'll come right back.